Good morning, what's shaking, what's happening? This is Meredith with Tasty Bites, Timeless Travels. Welcome to day 6 of our cruise on the MS Saturday around the world. And today is very special because today is our full transit through the Panama Canal. Come join us. So this is my third experience being down in this part of the world. The first one was on Zuiderdam. It was a holiday cruise last year. We did the partial transit, and then the second one was on the Rotterdam. Again, a partial transit. Zuiderdam goes through the old locks. Rotterdam goes through the new locks. They're amazing experiences. The same. They're just a little different. The old locks are done the same way that they figured it out in the 1800s with the water elevators and the two ships that balance out. The new locks is more of an individual thing, but that's where the visitor center is at. You actually come out of the new locks and there's the visitor center, and it's really neat. There's like a grandstand. They kind of did it right for that visitor center. There's people cheering and things like that when you go through it. Now for Panama Canal Day, Holland does open the front of its ships, whether it's the main bow on deck 4, which is where I am at right now. That is where the major thing is. They set up a tent because it does get hot down here later in the day. But they also do coffee, juice, Panama rolls. There's no napkins because if anything goes overboard, they're fine for it. But they also open their upper decks so you can get more of a bird's eye view. Up at the bridge, you're going to see Kimberly. I don't see her, but I've seen her up there before. I see her, she's over to the left doing her commentary. And then above that is going to be the crow's nest, where there are going to be people up there also, because that is also home to the main coffee bar. Now, out in the distance behind the ship, you will see the cargo ships. A lot of these do not make reservations for the guaranteed times in. It's like $37,000 just to make the reservation to go through the canal, not to mention the cost to actually go through it itself. So you always pass a big long line of cargo ships coming in as they're all just chilling, waiting their turn. And then this is a pilot process, so we've already had one pilot board. We'll have several throughout the day because this one will actually take us all the way through. And something that's always amazed me about this area is just how beautiful the landscaping is. Panama did definitely take the time to make sure that this stayed just as beautiful as possible. And when you get in the canal, the water's actually crystal clear. It's very clean. I don't know if I'd say crystal clear, it's not the Caribbean, but it's very clean. So it's just a beautiful area. All right, so I managed to find a spot on deck 7, which is literally where my room is. It's like right outside where 7001. We're at the end of the hall. There's an officer's room right over here. And then there's this little outer deck that she said that we could come out to, but no one's out here. But I have it all to myself, but I have a phenomenal view of the canal. And it's gonna be super easy to see everything. So we'll see how crowded this gets. I'm kind of standing back. There's a really crappy speaker here, so when she's doing her talks, it's like blown out or something. Now how speakers are when they're blown out and they just kind of rattle. That's what it's doing. So I'm wondering if that's why, because we've heard people come here all morning and leave. So I'm wondering if that's why people aren't hanging out. They can't understand what's happening, but I've been through it twice, so I kind of know what's happening. So this should be great. This is a great spot. This is the best spot I think I've ever had for this. And we actually sprung for a balcony on this trip, and this is so much better. And I even have a little seat. There's even a little bench for me to hang out and sit at. So hopefully I am allowed to be here, or they'll come and tell me, I'm sure, if I'm not. But yeah, fun times. The bridge is literally right above me. There they all are. So now I've already touched on it, but let's talk about the different ways you can go see the canal and go through the canal. Like I said, you can fly into Cologne, Panama, and you can see it that way if you're not a cruiser. You can take a cruise that will just do a port stop in Cologne, Panama. The 2 royal ships that were with us yesterday in Puerto Limón, they both did that. They do a long stop in Cologne, Panama. That way their passengers can take excursions to come see the canal or just go see Panama. That's the more common way to see the Panama Canal nowadays. It's very expensive to actually go through. Holland is still one of those companies that will do the partial transits. You're starting to see them not happen. Now you could also do a full transit, which is what we're doing because we need to get to the other side of the world. You'll see this happen a lot. There's like a Panama Canal season almost. It's when the ships leave Alaska and come back over to the East Coast for the winter season, and then they go back over kind of in the early spring to go back for the Alaska season. Those, for some cruise companies, they're not as common anymore. I know Disney's cut down because they're just leaving ships out in the Pacific. They're sending them to Australia as opposed to sending them through the Panama Canal and back to the Caribbean because they've built more ships. Like I said, it's expensive. the droughts have been bad down here the past few years, and it's kind of clogged up traffic in the canal a little bit. So everything with Panama Canal you got to take with a grain of salt, but if you're on a full transit, you're definitely going to get through because the ship has to move through. But most cruise ships will always be able to get through because they've paid to have that guaranteed way to get through, even on the partial. On a partial, you go into the lake. They will disembark passengers that have shore excursions that day to do, activities around the canal or in Colón, Panama. You will turn around and you will come back through the canal, and you will dock in Colón, Panama for about 3 to 4 hours at night to pick up the passengers that somebody was coming out, but I guess they changed their mind, to pick up the passengers that got off during the day for the shore excursions. So this one being a full transit, no one's getting off. We're all on the ship the entire day. It's probably why there's 12 hours of commentary. It is also a sea day. It's considered a sea day, so while there are special activities for the canal, the majority of sea day activities will go on. Dining room is still open for lunch. So, but those are the major ways that you can see the Panama Canal. It is one of the 7 modern wonders of the world, I want to say. There's a million wonder list, and the Panama Canal does sit on them, but it's still a spectacular sight to see. Like I said, it's beautiful, very well with their landscaping, so it should be a good time. And here we are crossing under the bridge. We are entering the Panama Canal area. I actually came back to the Seaview pool because C came out here, realized it wasn't raining. This bridge is a marvel in itself. One of these days I do want to actually take one where I get out in Colón, Panama, and actually get to go across this bridge. It is huge. It kind of reminds me of Charleston, South Carolina, the Cooper River Bridge, but it's called something else now. But a big suspension bridge, I want to say is what it is, but beautiful. All right, so here we are in Lido. Window seats were competitive this morning, but we're not huge window seat people, so we are good just kind of being off to the side, but you can kind of see the canal in the background. I literally have a window right there to look at, so I am good. On the other side of the ship is the other side of the canal, but just look at how beautiful this area is. Like, just look at how gorgeous this grass is. Like, when I had a house, I would die for grass like that. Especially when I had my home in South Carolina. I bought one of those brand new, like it was a Beezer home, and I think I got laid dead sod, but it was the time of the year where sod is dormant, so we had no way of knowing, and it's not covered under their year guarantee, so I literally spent all my years at that house trying to figure out how to make grass grow, and then you come down here and it's just beautiful grass, and you get a little jealous. But here is what we are dining with today for breakfast. First off, they were very upset I did not want pancakes because they remember they were out of them yesterday when I came through, and they asked me 3 different times if I wanted pancakes because they had pancake batter this morning, and I said I will get pancakes tomorrow. I don't want them today, but thank you so much. So they do remember you very well here. But today, this is what we've got. So today I went for some biscuits and gravy. I'm a Southern girl, so I love the biscuits and gravy every now and again. Just some eggs and a hash brown. Once again, I would have never gotten this much food, but they serve you here, and this is just the plate they gave me. And C went all healthy again with her fruit. She loves her fruit in the morning. Grapefruit, strawberries. That's pretty. Look at all those berries. I always feel bad for the person who has to cut all this stuff in the morning. But we're going to enjoy a nice breakfast before we finish watching us go through the Panama Canal. Hot tip, as soon as you enter the first lock, a lot of people will leave the front of the ship. It does become substantially less crowded, and that is what happened in our case. But you can kind of see the step up of how we're entering the lock and the little water elevators. So it's a nice little shot. It's crazy to think they came up with this idea like 150 years ago or something crazy like that. 200 years, I don't remember how many years ago, but it's crazy, and this is still the design that they use today. To give everyone an idea of the crowd level, and like I said, Zuiderdam is currently, if the rumors are true of how many are on here, it's about 70% full. The upper decks, including my secret spot that I found earlier, here's our upper decks that are crowded, and then there's people all the way around. They also set up a bar out here. So if you want to get your morning Bloody Mary, mimosa, or just any sort of mixed cocktail, they got you. And a little seating area with a tent. Now, I will say this is a slow process. Everything has to be completely correct in order to do this. So this is a pack your patience kind of day. Nothing moves quickly. A lot of standing in the sun. A lot of just marveling at what's down here. But this is not a quick process. Do not think you're going to be out here for 10 minutes, go through a lock, and then leave. This is like, we've been out here for 30 minutes maybe waiting to just clear this first lock. Fun fact about this lock system and the Panama Canal itself, it took like 100 years, I think, to build it. It was a project started by the French. The French did not want to do a lock system. The Suez Canal had already been built. They really thought they could just tunnel all the way through to the Pacific. But this area during the wet season, the rainy season, it will flood and it will have mudslides. So every time they got to that season, all the work they had done in the dry season would be washed away, literally washed away, and they would just be left with a vat of mud. French were very unsuccessful. A whole lot of them died, and so the Americans took it over and said, no, it's going to have to be a lock system. Yes, it's going to take a little longer. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to work. And that is how the Panama Canal came to be. First off, belonging to the United States, and second off, having a lock system. Now, also, if you want to learn more about the Panama Canal, first off, they did have some lectures. We did not see any of them this go around. We've seen the standard Holland one about the Panama Canal, and we missed the two guest lecturers just due to other things happening. But there's also this really good book called The Path Between the Seas. It's David McCulloch, I think is how you say his last name, and he does an excellent job of describing what it was like to think of, design, build, and run the Panama Canal. It's an excellent book. So if this is something that you would really want to learn more about, which I only read it because we started, we took a Panama Canal cruise. I can't say I was ever interested prior, but it is a very good book, kind of detailing the trials and tribulations and everything that went with it. Because, it's, at the end of the day, it is politics. So, and everything that comes with it, and all the scandals and how they funded it, and all the scandals with that. So it was a pretty big, not only is it a engineering marvel, it's a nod to politics about how it finally got going. So the Panama flag is actually at half-mast today, and it's a very interesting that we are going through today when it's at half-mast, because January 9th is referred to as it's Martyrs' Day in Panama. It's a day of national mourning commemorating the anti-American riots of 1964 that occurred on this date, where Panamanians protested the sovereignty of the Panama Canal Zone, which is where we were at. So interesting that we are going through on this day. Today is also the state funeral for Jimmy Carter, so the American flags are also at half-mast today. But I just thought it was interesting, like how random that this is the day we go through, is the day that the flag's going to be at half-mast commemorating riots that happened because of this canal zone that is so important to the world economy. It's crazy. What a crazy coincidence. And with that, you can see we are almost even with the lake, and we are about ready to start our next part of our journey, which is going to be beyond the lake. which is going to be interesting. I've never been beyond this lake. We've normally just kind of hung out. Kind of over there is where you hang out when you're doing a partial transit. So this time we get to go all the way through and see what it's all about. Now, something that's also neat about Holland, say you're not feeling good, the weather's bad, you're in an interior, you know, you don't want to hang outside in the crowds. This was a very light crowd for us. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's a world cruise. The ship's not very busy, and a lot of people take world cruises over and over again, which is a fun fact. We'll talk about it on a different day. But they broadcast through their bow camera the passageway through the Panama Canal, and Kimberly's narration is also available while you watch it. So you can always just sit in your room. We did this on Rotterdam for about an hour or so. Sit in your room and listen to the narration and get everything. All right, had a nice relaxing hour or so in the room, just sitting on the balcony enjoying the quietness. But now it is time to hit up Lido for lunch. It is not very busy. I don't know where everyone is. We haven't made it into Lido yet, but the crowds are certainly spread out, or everybody's in one spot. I don't know. We'll find out if they're on Lido in just a second. All right, so here we are. We are in the main dining room for dinner tonight. I think it's going to be a double dinner night tonight because we have our main dining room dinner that we pretty standard go to this, or we'll hit the Lido buffet for dinner. But this trip, because we have a permanent table with a permanent server and she's doing the pre-order thing, we are a little bit more dedicated to coming to the main dining room, which is fine with me. I do love Holland's main dining room. The food's very, very good. But then tonight they're having a special event up on Lido near the pool, burger and beer. We don't know anything about it, but we saw them setting up for it. They were putting out checkerboard tablecloths like you would see at an Italian restaurant, which just sounds fun. So we're going to leave this dinner and go check out burger and a beer to cap off this very long day that we have had. All right, appetizers have arrived. C went for the infamous shrimp cocktail that they've been featuring on their daily newsletter. I've never seen them have it every night, but they've had it every night for this cruise, that and French onion soup. So I wonder if they're trying to do some more standard items for ease. And then for me, I got my soup tonight. Double baked potato soup. Potato soup is one of my favorite soups. Started eating it way back at the Shoney's buffet, way back in the 80s. And picked it tonight for the appetizer. Like I said, Holland makes some good soups. I'm excited. All right, our entrees just arrived. It's another long dinner night tonight. We are both very, very tired, but so you got the modified cobia. This is supposed to have some Parmesan herb crust, but she can't have dairy, so they just did a nice, simple grilled piece of cobia for her. It's one of her favorite pieces of fish with some asparagus and gravy. Hers looks way better than mine. I'm just going to be honest with you. I got the beef stroganoff, and I'm sure it tastes delicious. It's just not looking the greatest, but I do like their beef stroganoff. I've just never had it in the main dining room. I've only had it in Lido. But I am so hungry, and we are so tired that it does not even matter. We're just going to dig in. All right, and for dessert, because you got to end with something sweet, she got that pineapple sorbet. She had it at lunch. It must have been delicious because she got it again for dinner. Or she just really likes sorbet. But I think it was good. Did it remind you of Dole Whip?
I don't know.
She doesn't remember. But pineapple sorbet, it kind of makes me think that it should taste kind of like a Dole Whip.
More pineapple.
It's more pineapple-y than a Dole Whip. And then for me, I got the turtle pie. I haven't had this in ages. I think the last time I had it was like at a family get-together. But look at how pretty this plate is. Like, look at the plating job on this. All right, welcome to Burger and a Beer. This is pretty interesting. They've got the Lido, and they've got it lit kind of weird. And like I said, we're gonna have the tablecloths with the red and white checkerboard. But there's a burger menu, and there's servers out here that bring burgers to your table. Pretty swanky. Everyone, or good night. We are going to be signing off in just a few minutes, but that was our really long day of going all the way through the Panama Canal. Spectacular, like I've said, highly, even if it's something you've never thought about, you really should think about. It wasn't something I ever thought I would ever do. I didn't have that huge of a desire to do, and then when the first time we were lucky enough to come down here last year, it was phenomenally beautiful, and now to be able to go all the way through the Panama Canal and see the beautiful sights, it's just phenomenal. Like, the landscaping is none other. It's gorgeous. You could probably play golf on the grass. It was just so amazing, and it's just an amazing time. And I'm telling you, the grandstands of the people that are observing you, waving and going through and things like that, it's amazing. It's a different feeling. It's one that, like you feel like you're in high school and you win a game or something like that. So, or I was a marching band kid, so we won state champ one year. So it's that cheering feeling. And I think everyone, every now and again in their life, has to be somewhere where somebody cheers for you. Just makes you feel real good about yourself. But dinner was great. C's looked beautiful. She scarfed down the fish. Mine looked gray, but it was still delicious. It was just so funny that it was such a bland color compared to C's very beautiful plate of fish. Dessert was delicious. Note about C's pineapple sorbet. She didn't like it that much. It was more of a pina colada, so I wonder if it was changed out in the flavor, if it was mislabeled or something like that, because I even tasted it, and it was straight up pina colada, which is not pineapple. C's not a pina colada person. She will like pineapple, definitely do the Dole Whips when we go to Disney, so note about the pineapple sorbet. It wasn't very pineapple-y, more pina colada-ish. But my turtle pie, it tasted just like the turtle candy. And then the burgers and beers things. Let me read you the description of this, because I'm not real sure that the night matched it. But it talks about, after a sun-soaked journey through the Panama Canal, chill down, unwind, and take it easy tonight. Savor a remarkable burger paired with refreshing beer, available by bucket loads. Enjoy music as you're right there in the heart of a bustling pub. Now, the burgers looked amazing. The people seemed to be enjoying them. They did have a wide selection of beer for today. The music in a bustling pub. When we left, they were playing the tango. I don't know how many pubs y'all have been going to in your lifetime. I can't say I'm a big pub goer beyond, the pub in Epcot. And there's also a pub at the Point at Orlando. And then, we found a pub in San Diego and things like that. But when I go into a pub, I don't expect the tango to be played. So maybe they just didn't bring up the right band for the vibe for the evening, but it was it was pretty like cool. Other than that, I mean, other than the tango, the rest of their music was okay. It was just misplaced to have the tango, but the event looked amazing. The people seemed very happy that we're eating. The workers were extremely excited to be working it. It was something different. It was a little hot because, you know, we're in Panama and it's hot and they have to have the roof closed because it's a dining event, and it was just a little warm. I think had we known how good the food would have looked, we may or may not have gone to the main dining room, but first off, cobia is one of C's favorite fish, so I would imagine we would have gone no matter what. And then I don't know how her dairy allergy would have been handled, because by looking at the menu, there was really not a whole lot she could eat, but Bolito was right there. But they've got a whole bunch more of these theme nights coming up, so I'm sure we're going to find quite a few that tickle our fancy that do not involve the tango. But whatever. But tonight is the big Notre Dame Penn State game. It is about to start. It's about 2 minutes away from kickoff, so we are calling it an early night. They actually just have a movie in the World Stage tonight for headline entertainment. They didn't even do a headliner today because of how long today was. They just did the relaxed dining event, so we're going to call it an early night also. So tomorrow is our first crossing of the equator. We will do it quite a few times this trip. I don't think they are doing the Neptune ceremony tomorrow, which is one that you typically see when you initially cross the equator. I don't know if it's because tonight was such a big night. They did have an event where you swam across the canal, which we did partake in. We'll get those certificates in a few days. But it's not on the schedule. They have a bunch of lectures scheduled, which is fine. I'm going to a couple of them. They look really interesting. But we will do our first equator crossing tomorrow, and then we're going on the... After that, you know, we're on our way to Ecuador. So, still lots to come up. Tomorrow's going to be one busy sea day. I can tell you that already. So, make sure you subscribe, like, follow us along, share us, and just keep seeing these adventures as we continue our way around the world on the Holland America World Cruise 2025 on the Zuiderdam. Have a great night.